You want to get into USC Dornsife? I want to help you do it. Today we're going to focus in on the 250-word short essay response that you must complete on the first-year application to USC if you're applying to USC Dornsife. Just a disclaimer, there are many different combinations and permutations of essay requirements on the USC application depending on the exact school or program you are selecting as your first and or second choice. Make sure that you understand that the content I'm about to share with you is specific to USC, University of Southern California, Dornsife, the School of Arts and Sciences. It is not going to help you if you're applying first choice to Marshall or first choice for architecture or cinematic arts. This is going to specifically help you if you're applying to USC Dornsife. We will try to do different videos for those other programs and more beyond those whenever I have the time and proclivity. But today we're going to focus specifically on the USC Dornsife essay prompt that is asking you to create a short 250-word essay in response to this question. Many of us have at least one issue or passion that we care deeply about, a topic on which we would love to share our opinions and insights in hopes of sparking intense interest and continued conversation. If you had 10 minutes and the attention of 1 million people, what would you talk about? There are two ways that you can tackle this prompt. Prompt really does not lend itself to connecting it to USC per se. So don't try to fit a square peg in a round hole and try to name drop USC in this response. You have other opportunities to do that. This prompt is where they wanted to see the unvarnished you. What are you passionate about? What gets you really going and excited? Or what do you feel so strongly about that you would want to share with other people? Approach number one would be to have your response augment what you've already shared about yourself elsewhere in the application. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are extremely interested in military history and you have a variety of resume items that relate to history or diplomacy or military history. And you also maybe have written a previous essay elsewhere about why you want to major in history in particular. This could be your chance with this essay to augment that by going even deeper with what about history is so exciting to you and why would you want to share maybe a specific lesson from history with 1 million people. So this is what I would call sort of the cherry on top approach to the Dornsife supplemental essay question of 250 words that you have to work with, where you basically just, it's your closing argument that you aren't just interested in majoring in this at USC, which you've hopefully stated elsewhere and compellingly elsewhere, but this is your opportunity with this particular response to really hammer home the fact that there is a particular lesson or lessons from history that you would want to share with 1 million people. So it aligns with your pre-existing content on the application, drumming home the idea again that you really are passionate about history, not just for the pleasure of it in this case, but because there are real lessons or a lesson to learn that you feel like at least 1 million people should hear about. And this is your opportunity to articulately and eloquently state that lesson for 1 million people. The other approach would be completely to play against type. That's what I would call this approach. Approach number two would be just to play completely in a different realm than the rest of your application has so far played and share something almost random or eccentric about you that would still add value added in their eyes, that would be just an interesting factoid to know about you, something that really drives you crazy with excitement or passion that you feel like they would benefit from knowing that there's this different facet about you. So again, you can either play to type with the cherry on top approach, or you can play against type with this sort of random, eccentric approach to this response. There is no right or wrong answer. However, there is a right and wrong way to approach your response. I would highly recommend that you approach this 250 words that you're going to be writing as if it's a mini essay. The first sentence or two should be your intro paragraph / thesis. So you only have about a sentence or two for that. Then you have 4 to 6 sentences, depending on how long they are, where you are producing what is known as sort of like a mini body paragraph, where you're supporting your thesis. And then the conclusions really should say something new, thoughtful, compelling, makes them want more of you and wants to learn more about you. But don't just restate what you stated in the thesis. So again, let's say we're using the example I gave a moment ago where you're writing about those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it, and you're using an example of maybe the United States starting preemptive wars and how that's very dangerous. What you would do is your intro sentence or two would introduce the thesis, which is basically those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. The body would be the supporting proof, where you would maybe share a few examples of how the United States has engaged in proactive warfare and how that in most cases ends up a disaster, whether it be with Iraq or the other places where the United States has initiated conflict. Again, this is getting now into a little bit of political realm. You may not agree with that, but if you're going to make that argument, you got to stand in your truth, if you will, and really make the argument compellingly in the body. Use several examples of the ways in which lives were lost or trajectories of countries ruined because, and maybe even the United States, because of the way in which it has instigated war. And then in the last paragraph or sentence or two, you would want to say something new, something novel that is not in line with the body and is not in line with the introduction paragraph, but goes a step beyond them. So maybe you talk about a very current event, or maybe something you or they, as the million people in the audience, could do moving forward in order to prevent this lesson from history from being lost to future generations, or something. So something new. So it's still a relatively vanilla, if you will, approach to how you want to structure the essay. The question you have to answer really is, do you want to take the cherry on top approach to this Dornsife essay, or do you want to take the play against type approach to your Dornsife short essay? But whatever you choose, make sure that you still have a structure that is compelling, that is clear, that is concise, that is articulate, that gives them the showing and telling detail that they're looking for to get to know you and your passion area better, that you would be speaking about in public to a million people. And you are going to be in pretty good shape when you knock that particular essay out for the USC Dornsife supplement that you are completing to get into the University of Southern California. My name is Craig Meister, also known as the College Meister. You can go to my website, which is collegemeister.com. It's also linked below this video. Also linked below this video are some other bonus tips about how you can knock your Common App essay out of the park, and how you can build an extraordinary extracurricular resume, the content from which you can infuse somewhere into your USC application, and of course other applications that you are completing during your first year college admissions cycle.